All right. Our generation grew up with the internet all of our lives. We use it to talk to other people, watch videos, and learn about what is happening around the world. The internet holds the most information in the world. It stores over 1.2 million terabytes of data saved in servers in all countries. Some people might say that the internet controls our lives, but I think that it's us that control the internet. As the people who use the internet, we are the ones that make what go onto it. We can bring happiness to a family we don't know, or bring down a president. Oh yeah. I'm too lazy. Or bring down a president who doesn't know what he's doing. We know what is best left out, hidden, and what should be shared to the public. We use our morals to judge what is okay and not okay what to do on the internet. There are no rules, so we just do what we find on the internet. We can post memes or watch videos of other people's lives or become internet famous. We choose what we like and what we don't like, and that's what makes the internet great. With the internet, we are able to meet new people and learn new things. Nothing on the internet is not made by a person somewhere around the world. We can share what we want with who we want, and there's no one that stops us. As new generations come, there will be more people who use the internet, and eventually the whole world will be part of the internet. But with new rules coming out, people are trying to stop what the internet looks like, a free place where you can find anything you want. And it's becoming more like our school's internet, where you try to find something and it's blocked. Cool math games. When people start to try to take away the freedom of the internet, that's when main problems will start occurring. And we should try our best to stop what is happening and start thinking about the future of the internet. Thank you.
Great. That was great. No, not today. I'm not in the mood.
Not feeling it today?
Not feeling it.
You gotta psych up.
I need that caffeine. Yeah. What did the perfume say to the other perfume? What did the perfume say to the other perfume? Psst. Huh? Oh, really? Okay, up next we have Giselle. Woo! Psych up. She can hear what I'm saying? Oh. Hey, Miss Sennett, I hope you're doing better. We miss you. Hopefully we can see you soon. Psych up. Yeah, clap it up, Leanne. Clap it up. Yeah.
Is it okay?
Yeah. Can we put the
This?
Yeah, because I don't want to hold on to this.
Right here. How do you put this up?
It's okay, it's really high. Ooh, scary. Can you hear me? Okay. Okay, here. My arm looks broken. Okay. Is it working? Okay. As a young athlete, I've gotten the opportunity to play volleyball for my high school. Throughout my years, I've encountered two completely different coaches. They both showed us different coaching styles, plays, and most importantly, motives. For my sophomore year, he mainly focused on self-improvement, while my junior year mainly focused on winning. By playing the sport for over 4 years, I've learned that as a team, we should have self-respect, trust, and most importantly, a drive. For my first coach, he taught us to trust one another since he wanted us to. Sorry. For my first coach, from the first coach, we learned to trust one another since he wanted us to perfect our position. His motive was to help us be our best at our job, allowing each other to gain the trust that the job requirements would be met. During practices and drills, it was based off of, during practices, our drills would be based off of our positions, and occasionally we would try different positions to understand the plays better. From the second coach, he mainly focused on winning, so he did everything in his power to get us to that point. We would have assistant coaches take down stats. 2 times a week we would have conditioning with a professional volleyball trainer for the nationals. And then he would make us do multiple fundraisers to get new equipment. Like that, I guess, okay. Our games were based off of stats, and if our stats weren't good, you wouldn't play. So that caused multiple problems with our teams. We have many people talk behind each other's back, and our trust, we lost trust and respect for each other. We had team leaders lead us with, we came here to win, not lose. Okay. So the first coach had a score of 8-1 home games and 4-3 away, while the second coach had 3-7 home and 3-5 away. Overall, I found that winning is a motive, but it's not the best because it doesn't really lead us to that point. While self-improvement is a motive that has a stable foundation, I forgot it. I forgot the rest.
Yeah. No? Something funny. How'd you know? Okay, next we have Vanessa doing her SLed talk. Woo! It's called SLed.
Am I on? Okay. Being sick isn't fun, and being sick and not being able to taste your food is even worse. Have you ever had that unpleasant metallic taste that lingers in your mouth while you're battling a cold? It makes water taste weird and your favorite food becomes bland. It's a horrible experience, but you're probably not alone in this. Sinus issues are among the most of Sinus issues are among one of the most common causes of the loss of taste. Since your sense of smell works closely with your taste receptors, your ability to pick up taste clearly would become dull. Your taste buds can pick up 5 different kinds of taste: sweet, salty, bitter, sour, and umami. And usually when you have the loss of taste, it can be a sign of infection, underlying illnesses, or a side effect of prescription drugs. There are some remedies that can help temporarily bring back your taste, and usually citric fruits like lemon or oranges can help because the chemicals in the fruit change the taste buds. And spicy food might also work too, because if you're congested, then your senses are very, very dull, and when you're eating spicy food, it clears up your sinuses. And usually people who suffer from this chronically often lose their appetite, and eating food feels like you're chewing on rubber and it's not satisfying. And this may lead to depression. Luckily, in many cases, the loss of taste is temporary. So the next time you experience this, know that there are remedies and that it will fade over time and you'll be better soon. Thank you.
Great. I'm gonna need you to hit the sponge. What? Next, we have Teresa giving her TED Talk. Woo! Psych up.
Okay. Hello. How much do you love yourself? We live in a society where many people struggle to find self-love and self-confidence. Finding self-love isn't the easiest thing to do, but it isn't impossible. Many people, such as teenagers, tend to view themselves through the image of how others view them to be, not by actually from discovering who they truly are from deep within. And by doing so, it limits us from reaching our full capacity to self-love. Self-love is the most important key in order to living a happy and better life. So what exactly is self-love? Self-love is a state of appreciation for oneself that grows from... Self-love is a state of appreciation for oneself that grows from things we do that help us grow physically and mentally as an individual. Self-love grows more and more once you start learning how to embrace who you are as a person and loving yourself, especially accepting your strengths and weaknesses. I'm here today to talk to you guys about how self-love is important and how you can take matters into your own hands in order to love yourself with these 3 easy steps. The first step to self-love is being able to forgive yourself. We as humans in general tend to be hard on ourselves over the littlest things, especially when it comes to making mistakes. But by making mistakes, we are able to learn and grow from it. Making mistakes helps us become a better person, and it prevents us from creating the same mistakes happening again. You should learn how to forgive yourself in order to love yourself. And as a wise teenage girl once said, nobody's perfect and everybody makes mistakes. The second step to self-love is making time for yourself and setting goals for yourself. Spending more time with yourself allows you to learn more and more about yourself each and every day. You should do things that help you relax and feel more comfortable in your own skin, such as reading, walking, napping, anything that makes you feel comfortable. I suggest straying away from electronics and staying off of social medias in order to spend more quality time with yourself. While you are spending more time with yourself, you should also be setting goals for yourself. Create different goals such as checklists or even bucket lists that you want to do and accomplish in life. By accomplishing these goals, you will feel nothing but satisfactory and happiness. Accomplishing goals helps you remember your purpose in life, along with helps you discover new things in life. The last step to self-love is embracing who you are as a person and knowing your worth. In order to love yourself more, you need to learn how to be more confident in your own skin. Start off by accepting all of the features that make you who you are. Learn how to take care of them and appreciate them. Each feature in your body makes you unique and stand out as an individual. If you keep these 3 steps in mind, you are more than capable of loving yourself. You are more than capable of loving yourself. Self-love is the key to happiness, and it is a key essential to survival in life. Always remember to know your worth in order to grow, strive, and succeed in life. Thank you. I can't, that's scary.
Nice. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's Monday. No, how's everyone's weekend?
I'm so nervous,
I don't have the energy to shoulder roll. Nah. I can't. I'm not have the energy. Where's my Fortnite players at? Next up, we have Ruby. Woo!
Cultural hegemony, everybody. Okay, Antonio Gramsci once said, the power of, never mind, I'll tell you when switched. I'm sorry. Okay, Antonio Gramsci once said, the power of cultural hegemony lies in its invisibility, unlike a soldier with a gun or a political system backed up by a written constitution. Culture resides within us. Now you might ask, what is cultural hegemony? Cultural hegemony happens when a culture becomes common sense to people. It becomes normal. And I'm not talking about culture in the aesthetics. I'm not talking about, next one, culture in the aesthetic sense. It's part of it, yes, but it's the type of culture I'm talking about is culture in the sense of morals and principles that society has. Culture in the sense of how we navigate our world, what we like, what we think is beautiful, what we think is right. Growing up, next slide, please. Growing up as a Latina, I've acquired many Latino morals and principles that may not be seen as normal in America. When I started kindergarten, I was aware of how different I felt. Being a child who was raised as a Spanish speaker, there was this concern that I wasn't going to be able to speak English at school. And the teachers were worried that I wasn't going to be able to adapt, I wasn't going to be able to speak English, it wasn't going to be easy for me to associate with other students because there seemed to be this language barrier. That was, next one. It wasn't bad that they were acting in this manner. They weren't being offensive, they weren't discriminating. They were simply following a norm. If you live in America, you speak English. So why didn't this little girl speak English? Antonio Gramsci believed that cultural hegemony is manifested when the dominant group thinks their social conditions of their society are natural and inevitable. I took a step back and began to realize that we're living in a country where this belief can be applied to. With our current president, we are living it and feeling it even more. With comments and remarks he's made, he's brought out to light how notable it is in this country. Next one. Now, Trump had this proposal to reduce the amount of people that are able to immigrate to this country based on this test that measures your score in points, or you need at least 30 points to be eligible to apply for immigration. It weighs your age, education, salary, whether you're going to invest in this country, and how well you speak English. Now, applicants need at least 30 points in order to be eligible for a visa proposed under this bill. And the fastest way to get there is if you've ever won a Nobel Prize, which is automatically 25 points in your favor. Now, I'm assuming that most people don't have this, but it's okay, that's fine. Because if you've ever won an Olympic medal in the past 8 years, you get 15 points. So, I mean, I guess that's great. Fortunately, this bill did not pass due to how ridiculous it is, and they knew it wasn't gonna pass through Congress. But I want to take a moment to look at this particular question. Next slide, please. What's your English ability? Now, a question that measures with points how well you speak a language. And I grew up in a diverse community where I've heard many speak different languages, having English being their second. And because it's their second, yeah, it may be moderate or good. Yeah, moderate or good or whatever, but it's never stopped people from trying to make an effort to understand each other. Now, it's different if this test is trying to determine how well you speak English in order to help you improve on the language in order to better communicate with the community around you. But we know that that's not the case. It's asking because that's part of the norm here in America. Don't get me wrong, America is not the only place where cultural hegemony resides. I was lucky enough to experience it in 2 different places, one being here, one being in Mexico. And nevertheless, I like to see the positive end of things. I like to find hope in the midst of despair, and when people of all racial backgrounds, genders, and age come together to bring about change to the oppression of any other culture group, it gives me hope that our ideas are evolving for the better of humankind. The people of the future are making this country a place where maybe someday there isn't a need to feel uncomfortable because you're from a different background. Thank you. Oh. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. I got some jokes for you guys. What did one plate say to the other plate? Lunch is on me. Why can't you trust trees? Because they're shady. Why do French people eat snails? Because they don't like fast food.
Did you hear about the peanut that went to jail? He's in there for charges of assault and battery.
What?
Peanuts are salted.
Oh.
Anyway.
What do you call security outside a Samsung store? Guardians of the Galaxy. All right, next we have Taman. Give it up. Woo!
All right, let's do this. Early. All right. As temperatures drop below 32, a magical land of frozen crystals opens up to the world. Most yearn for summer days, arguing that June through August provide the happiest of times, where people get to bask at the beaches and enjoy the sun. But I'm here to argue that winter coats the world in happiness through a thing called snow. Childlike wars take place where people hurl frozen balls at each other's faces with pinpoint accuracy. People shoot themselves down the faces of mountains on nothing but waxed plastic. The fun-filled days feel longer, and the cold cocoa-fueled nights feel a lot more peaceful. There's so much to do below 32. Now, besides the primitive art of sledding, the very first sport to hit the slopes was the skis. In the early 1800s, the Swedish army needed a more effective way to navigate the battlefield, which was frigid, snowy, and surrounded by mountains. Thus came the trusty skis. Now, it wasn't long before civilians took on this trend and decided it was a good idea to strap them on for themselves and send it down the mountain. The very first competition was held in Mürren, Switzerland in 1931. The very first competition was held in Mürren, Switzerland in 1931. It wasn't long before a man who's a crazy bat and my hero at the same time, named Sherman Poppin, came along and decided to attach two skis together, ride down the mountain sideways, and call it the Snurfer. This would eventually become the greatest invention ever to hit the world, the snowboard. Now, it wasn't long before two people, Jake Burton Carpenter and Tom Sims, came along and made the sport what it is today. Though, in the early days of snowboarding, snowboarders weren't allowed on the slopes because they were seen as too reckless. I see vacations going away from the beaches and up to the mountains. Every year I see more and more people headed up ski lifts, skating around in frozen ponds, and throwing balls at each other's faces. I even see more and more people posting on Twitter and Instagram that they're going up to the snow as it becomes more of a trend. With the recent addition to slopestyle and big air into the Winter Olympics, snow bums everywhere like me are more likely to make a living doing the things that they love. There are some who reject the gift of the mountain, though, and this is because they don't know how to utilize the gifts that have been given to them. They argue that it's too cold, or snowboarding and skiing is too hard, but it's just a matter of trying. And it's like going to the beach without knowing how to swim. You're not gonna have fun unless you know how to get in there and take a dip. All you're gonna get is a sandy butt and an attitude. Once you learn how to utilize the gifts that have been given to you, a whole new world opens up. Thank you.
Great. Okay, why don't cannibals eat clowns?
Tastes funny.
Yeah, damn it. Wait. Why can't a bike stand up by itself? Damn it. Hey, Darren, how about you just sit there and like not talk?
So, oh yeah.
Keep in mind that we get out at 8:50. It's 8:50. Collaboration.
So as a child, I recollect my mother telling me I should get a haircut. This happened every few months. In truth, I dreaded cutting my hair. Why? Well, it was because my mother would always cut it way too short. Yet my mother still insisted. I specifically remember her saying, cutting it will make your hair grow faster and longer. Well, today, I am here to inform you if cutting your hair more often has an impact on the rate of hair growth. So after doing some research, I have found that frequently trimming your hair makes your hair grow faster is in fact a myth. Cutting the ends of your hair does not affect the follicles in your scalp. The follicles in your scalp determines how fast your hair grows. Hair grows regularly, whether you trim it or not. Cutting the dried ends of your hair reduces hair breakage and thinning, making your hair look much healthier and shinier. So the second myth is that you should switch up your shampoo every once in a while because it will eventually stop working. However, that is totally not the case, but you should get a shampoo that is right for your hair. For example, if you have colored hair, you should use a more moisturizing shampoo. So the third myth is mostly spread by hairstylists. A cold water rinse will make your hair shinier. That is not the case. As stated by a chemist, your hair contains no living cells. It does not react to cold or hot water. The best method to have healthier, shinier hair is to limit the use of hot tools such as straightening, curling, iron, blow drying your hair, and frequent dyeing. So the last myth is that plucking one gray hair will lead to an increased growth in many more gray hairs. Although this myth may seem true, it is not. More silver strands will have appeared no matter what due to stress and anxiety. Your hairs will have become weaker if it is plucked a lot and may eventually stop growing back. So the next time your parents tell or urge you to get a haircut, you can retort by saying, a trim does not improve hair growth. If that doesn't happen, then whenever your hairstylist tells you to cold water rinse your hair, you can tell them that that is a myth, and now you won't have to suffer getting a cold shower.
Oh, just put it on the table. Hold on. I don't think we have enough time.
I can talk really, really fast.
What do you call an alligator that reads a map? An alligator that reads a map. A navigator.
So, a guy dressed as Abe Lincoln walks into a bar and orders a drink. The bartender walks up to him and asks, "Why are you dressed like Abe Lincoln?" The man says, "Well, you see, I went to a costume party and I was supposed to dress as my love life." The bartender looks at him and says, "Well, then why are you dressed as Abe Lincoln?" And he says, "Well, my last 4 scores were 7 years ago."
Dang, shut up. I forgot my other jokes. I did not look up jokes. Oh, what did the buffalo say to his son when he left for college? Damn it, Amy! What did the perfume say to the other perfume? Psst. Next up, we have Jessica. Woo!
My topic is about acceptance. How often do we get frustrated because things didn't go the way we would like it to? We carry that fuck? We carry that frustration around, which would affect our attitude throughout the day. In life, we will get impacted by many uneventful things. We don't get to control what happens to us, but it's our response to these events. One of the many challenges I had to face was growing up was acceptance, which was frustrating. Life is too short to be frustrated all the time. There will always be certain things that we may not like about ourselves when we look into the mirror, but it's two complete different things to accept it for who we are or to like it. We do not necessarily have to like it, but we must learn to live with these imperfections that make us who we are. Acceptance and rejection we receive from our family, friends, or even strangers is something we endure in our everyday life. As a society, we need to understand that we are all our own unique characters. We are not meant to get along with everyone we meet, and we are not meant to be all the same. But with acceptance, we feel more safe and protected, but even with acceptance, there comes rejection. When asked, do you like who you've become, we do not generally get no as an answer. Even if we reject ourselves, we do not express it. Studies show that we wire our brains to negative thoughts and spend more time evaluating the negative than the positive. Our negative emotions require more thinking than the positive. And when we overthink, that's when depression comes in. We all have a goal of feeling happy in our lives, but how can we truly be happy while contemplating on the negativity in our lives? Do I continue? Not very close. Okay. Here.
Like, come up here. Like, announce everyone? Yeah. I hope you all have a good day.
So how'd it go?
We only got through 7.
7? So one time I ate a glow stick. I'm just kidding. Ew. Oh, my princess. I'm putting you down.
Hi, Taman. I liked your TED Talk. I like snowboarding. I like trains.